Okay, let's start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You've got the roll.
I do.
Okay. Can I have a motion on the minutes from September 20th? So second. Are there any additions, corrections, or discussion on the minutes?
Jeremy, I have a recommended modification of that. And the page.
I didn't ask for recommendation.
No. Page 2, item number 7, Police Commission Chair discussion, second paragraph. Currently states after a lengthy discussion, it was not favorable to hire consultants. New sentence. It was suggested that it was not favorable to hire consultants. To me, is a little ambiguous. My suggestion would be to say after a lengthy discussion, and then just go right into the next sentence. It was suggested that the police commission create an RFP and bring it to the board of selectmen for comment.
Any objection?
No.
Hearing one, could you just make that?
Yeah.
Would that say not favorable at this time?
Well, I'm just dropping that whole piece and just simply saying that because what we agreed to at the end of that was police commission go put an RFP together, do your thing, and then once it's done, bring it back. So I didn't want to be. I just wanted to keep the flow going for what the actual suggestion was.
All those in favor as recommended to what?
Who knows?
All those,
No, it was not favorable to hire consultants.
okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved as suggested.
And may I make one comment on minutes in general?
Sure.
One of the things, going back to the fact that, over the last couple of months, there had been some discussion about, with the police cars, what was said, what wasn't said, what were the commitments and those kinds of things. And we're now in a position where after 13 months, the videos of the meetings are destroyed. And my suggestion would be when we have a meeting where there's a presentation, like the presentation we had with the police chief, that ought to be just put as part of the minutes. And so a year from now, 2 years from now, somebody wants to look back and say, what were the commitments made? What was, be able to see that rather than all of us kind of trying to figure it out of our memories. Hopefully I don't think it's too much more work to just take a PowerPoint presentation and have it as part of the minutes. But to me, I think that would be good for looking back.
So you're talking about the PowerPoint presentation,
Yeah.
not the recording of.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I do that frequently if I get a presentation, I'll just say, see attached. And it's part of the minutes. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Board of Selectmen minutes.
Yeah.
Other than going into great detail in the minutes.
Right.
When you have a presentation, that's easily done.
But Bruce, wouldn't the chief have to give us the PowerPoint presentation
Yeah.
first?
Yeah, it'd have to be printed out.
Yeah, and whether or not he's willing to do that.
Well,
Years gone by,
he will
he's
do that.
not wanted to do
Well,
that.
he provided. I mean, it was a public document because he presented it
Public
here.
document.
He'll do that.
Once he does it in front of us.
No,
Yeah.
that's not even, it's not worth discussing.
Yeah, no, he'll.
Not worth discussing.
So
I
you're
know
saying that you want to attach to the minutes?
Yeah.
In a PDF form?
Yeah.
Okay.
And no, the minutes get filed with the town clerk.
Mhm.
Just staple it all together and give it to Sarah.
Mhm.
In the minutes, it says, see attached PowerPoint.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I attach things to the Board of Selectmen minutes all the time. It's just easier,
Makes
quite
sense.
frankly.
So what am I looking for if I go down to Sarah's
You
office?
just look, if you want to look at, the chief presented, or let's not even,
Yeah, but like Parks and
Heather McNeil presented, I want to go back and review the minutes, and then to be like, oh, there's the PowerPoint that Heather presented that night, that's attached to the minutes.
On a pancake, on a CD, on a thumb drive, or how do you?
Well, I think Sarah actually has minutes.
Could be hard
They do
I think
paper,
I think they're.
So we're talking about the PowerPoint being on paper?
Yeah,
yes.
Which is easy.
I think
Yeah, all they
however
have to do
Sarah
is send it
maintains
to
her
me and I'll
record,
print it out.
if they're part of the minutes, she has to maintain them forever. And however they're maintained, now, maybe eventually it can be scanned in and documented for that date. That's what we do with other files.
So
But I
what
think
I'm
hard
saying
copy
is-
minutes are kept and they're just put in books.
the medium, what I'm saying is that anybody gives us a PowerPoint presentation. You know, it's one thing to have 5 or 6 bullets on a piece of paper, but after 13 months, what the presenter is saying is gone.
That's why we're saying,
Right, under current
But-
circumstances.
But it wouldn't be if it was attached to the minutes that are in the town's clerk.
So
office.
you're,
And I'm
okay,
asking what format.
so hold
they
on,
attach to a
hold
piece
on.
of paper.
Maybe I can help with this. So let's go pre-pandemic and we didn't record minutes, all right? We didn't record meetings, rather. We didn't record them. I don't know if we ever streamed them, but we didn't record them. We had minutes, just minutes, that Sarah keeps. She eventually puts them in a bound book for in perpetuity, okay? And sometimes those minutes may have something attached to them. All right? It's not infrequent that Board of Selectmen, another board might attach a PowerPoint or something to those minutes. That was the way it was done. Now we have both. We have people presenting and they pass out documents. The meetings are recorded. The meetings that are recorded are destroyed 12 months later. We don't keep them forever. So all that's left is the minutes. So yes, what that person said in the meeting in that actual recording is gone after a certain period of time. But the minutes remain. And hopefully they capture the essence of the meeting.
So I'm not sure whether Bruce wants the essence of the meeting recorded beyond 12 or 13 months on a thumb drive or a CD or some other video type of information. Or he's just looking for the bullet points that whomever presents to be attached in here, you know.
I guess my answer to that is not the thumb drive that you're talking about, but not bullet points within the minutes, an attachment to the minutes of whatever the presentation was. So if it were a 10-page PowerPoint presentation, then that would be attached to the minutes.
So that's all you're looking for.
That's it.
yeah.
Okay, that's all I needed to want to verify what
Yeah.
exactly we're looking for.
That would also be available online, right? So if somebody goes and looked at the minutes online and came on,
100%. It would be.
that presentation would be
Yeah,
available.
right.
And that'd be great during budget season too. All these people come in, right, with presentations and.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, do we want to start attaching every PowerPoint to the minutes? Now, is that what you're suggesting? Because,
Well, at that point, who becomes the curator of determining yes or no? I don't, to
I
me,
mean, I think the board, so I think if you want something attached to the minutes, you should probably request it because many documents get handed out and we're not attaching every document to the minutes.
all right, so what we can say is either at that meeting or when we go and vote on the minutes, somebody could say, I'd like to have something.
Yeah, because when I have presentations, I frequently will capture it in the minutes, but if I really think it needs to be attached, I will attach it. I mean, there's some discretion by the board. I don't think it's good or bad either way. It's really in the board's discretion. Hey, Jerry, when you do the minutes, attach that PowerPoint. I think that otherwise, forget it. I may do something tonight and you may be like, attach that. The Board of Finance minutes are now gonna be like this they're gonna be voluminous.
At least during budget time.
Yeah, you don't want every PowerPoint during budgets. You don't, and you don't need that. You don't. You won't need everyone attached to the minutes.
So Carl, question here.
Yes.
So there's only 2 formats that are being used when we record a meeting? One is for the town website and one for YouTube. Is there any other?
Well, our meetings are YouTube. Our meetings are available on YouTube.
Okay,
That is the repository
okay.
of our meetings.
So if they're on YouTube, aren't they there for a long time?
Uh,
I mean,
so, no. Oh, well, they are, except they're not available through, I think it's through, you had this discussion. They're not available through the town website on YouTube, but yes, I think you can search YouTube.
yeah, the famous boat meeting in 2014 is still on there.
Well, that may be on there for a different reason, but that may just be, but I'm not sure, I'm not positive as to that answer.
Yeah, we better get Larry involved, because I'm not sure.
But as
I
far
think
as,
it's once it's on YouTube, it's there forever.
Not if the user removes it though.
Right.
So if Larry's the account manager for the
Maybe.
town YouTube channel,
But you don't know if Larry put it there. Somebody else could have put it.
no, not if it's on the old Saybrook channel.
no, but you're right,
No,
you're right.
no.
Right?
They can duplicate it. You can duplicate it and put it on YouTube.
And then it would be there, I think.
Right, but
This is.
anyway, we're going down a
I
rabbit
think,
hole.
yeah, we are going down a rabbit hole. We are.
I didn't mean to go into this.
Next. You wanted clarification, so I wanted to. Thank you. Move on.
Okay, we'll move on to public comment.
And let's see, one public attendee or?
Pass. And there's nobody online, so we'll move on to,
Could I ask, the chairman's prerogative to go to item number 7?
you want to skip 6 and go?
For now, yeah, just for now, you know what, I had a little bit of I wasn't gonna use that word, but I was gonna say brain seizure, I guess that's even worse. I told Ed Casella might have joined us tonight, but I told him 7 o'clock, I don't know what I was thinking. So let's just do the steep grant first,
Okay,
and we'll go on from there. If you don't mind, if the board, we'll just flip them.
Highly unusual, but I voted for you.
is there any objections from the audience? Or wherever they may be. Okay, go ahead.
So, when we were applying or seeking the legislative earmark, and that's what I'm going to call it, which is the $770,000 funding that we received for the sidewalks, we agreed to a match of that. Norm Needleman said to me, hey, if you go for this, are you willing to put up some money? And I said, yes, absolutely, just to get it. And then on the steep grant, when we applied for the steep grant, we said, hey, we'll put up 20%, which is 100. So between the two of them, we agreed to put up, obviously, 247,000 for the 770 and 100,000 on the 500, leading to a total match of 347. Currently in the sidewalk account, you see, we have 317,000. Oh no, is that right? Leanne, I know you're here, is perfect. Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
yes,
We have-
yes. Either 317 or 314. I forget which one. We're 30,
That's what I was. So currently we have 317,000 in our sidewalk account. I thought to secure those funds, to make sure they're available, if we want to start the project in the spring, maybe, I don't know. I don't think we will be ready to, because quite frankly, there's a lot of work. But I thought we would segregate the funds at this time, just to make sure they're in place when we need them, when we're fully ready for construction. And we're short between the 250 allocated from the surplus and what remained in that account. We're short $30,200. So we don't, not critical that we do this tonight, but it's more housekeeping, and we would segregate those funds. We would not use those funds until we proceed with the sidewalks from the Dairy Queen to the Westbrook Town Line. That's it. It's more just to make sure we're ready for it when it comes. That's it. I don't think we're gonna need these funds for a year, to be honest with you. I really don't.
Question, the
Yes,
317, was that gonna also cover the sidewalk from Main Street to Main Street?
no.
That's different pot of money for that?
So I really can't do much on that project because that is a different, we received 500,000, not in a grant, in a legislative earmark, that was in March. And I'm not gonna do anything there until I have authority to move forward with that project, which involves a sidewalk in that park that then goes out to Lynn Street. Yesterday, I emailed the gentleman up at the state, I don't want to say his name, because back at the end of August, he said to me, hey, we're putting together our procedures for these grants. Probably be a couple weeks. I diaried it for October 1st. So I emailed him yesterday, I didn't hear anything. So I can't do anything. I can't touch that $500, I can't spend a dollar, I can't move forward with the project until I get something in place from the state saying, yeah, that money is now available to you, go ahead and use it. Same thing with any steep grant we receive. Until we have, in fact, it's old letters, do not spend any monies until we have an agreement, you have an agreement with the state that you can move forward with the project. So we are in freeze mode on the 770, the $500,000 steep grant, and the $500,000 legislative earmark. Total freeze mode right now. Because, you know, I have to work with these people, so I don't want to badger them either. So I'm like, hey, hope you have a nice day, you know, just looking for an update on this. But we're not alone. I mean,
No.
this is, and like I said last time, I truly think they put out so much money and the state has lost workforce, Mr. Carver.
And I'm not going back.
Okay. That, anyway,
So, just following up, when you get the approval to move forward with that money, is there a match requirement?
which,
The 500,000
500,000.
that Rick was referring
the
to.
500,000
The
here.
allocated, yeah.
No match. That was just an earmark.
So we don't
There
have.
was no match there.
All right, and that also would include the island at the end of the old Hudson Post Road.
That's different.
Okay,
That is different.
all right.
But who's gonna get first? That island or the sidewalk?
That
from Main
island's
Street
gonna,
to Route 1?
they're gonna start on that island, soon. So actually, something I meant to bring up tonight is obviously I was gonna use sidewalk funds for that. And
So you're gonna need more money.
I might need probably, I don't know how much. Maybe 20, you know, I'd have to guess because Alan Hall is doing the granite work. And he did not give an overall estimate of just the granite work. Under, under 10 grand. Larry can also, Larry's road work is roads and sidewalks. Larry does sidewalks and he uses that money. In theory, that money could be used too. So, I mean, I can talk to Larry about it and then seek replacement if he needs it at the end of the year. So that's why I wasn't, I didn't want to comport, or we can appropriate an additional 20 grand into the other sidewalk fund. And so 30 and 20, I wasn't going to ask for that tonight. It's going to have Larry cover it out of his paving budget, road budget, roads and sidewalks, but, so that's it.
Okay, thanks.
Good question, though. Good question.
Still want the motion?
Well, for the steep grant, for this, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%, yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to appropriate the town back to $347,200 towards the $500,000 small town economic assistance program funded by $317,000 from the town sidewalk fund. 2019 funded 3,000, isn't it 2019?
3019 is the
Fund is-
number.
Fund.
Oh,
Fund
fund
is 309.
number
You
309,
just didn't
sorry.
put the number sign.
And 30,200 from the capital non-reoccurring fund. Further to move this approval to the town meeting.
Yeah, the 30, yeah, it has to go to town meeting, so we have plenty of time for that. I probably will just incorporate it on a future town meeting, no rush.
Who's the second?
Second.
So at the end of the day, you have a $690,000 legislative earmark and you have about $1.2 million in state funds and 347 in town funds
Yeah.
to do this project.
Would it be appropriate, Carl, to modify this motion? Because it looks like from, even though what, as you described it, the 347 is really two matches. One for the 500,000 and one for the.
Well, no, actually, that's not what this, when we got the steep grant award, it said including a town match of 347.
Okay.
Yeah, so what they did is they included both matches.
Okay, so
in
they
this-
just piled it.
They did, so.
Okay,
Okay, any further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Okay.
Any
I hope-
opposed? Okay,
I hope you think that's decent leverage, you know, in terms of state funds, town funds. I mean,
20%.
you know, it's,
I did have another question.
yes, Tom.
You got the vote
Take
on
that
it?
off that one.
We're gonna put this in, holding fund separately or just leave it where it is?
No, we're gonna hold it separately.
Okay,
These funds will not be touched until they will only be available for this project.
so we're actually gonna move it out of account 3019?
Yes,
Okay,
is that right, Leanne?
Yes, I'm shaking my head, but I was on mute, so I apologize. Yes, we will take the money out of the sidewalk fund. It'll go down to zero. When the town meeting approves the 30,200, we'll take that out as well. And then when we get the grant funds coming in, we'll open up a new account and commingle our match along with the grant funds. So it'll all be in a special account, and then from there, we will fund the project.
so if you take it out and you don't do anything with it until you get the state grant, where's the money go? Are we putting it in a special account before the state money comes in?
It'll be in an off-budget fund, and all of the off-budget funds use the same pool of funds, so the money isn't necessarily going anywhere. It's just an accounting entry where we take it out of one fund and put it into another fund. So the money is segregated from an accounting perspective, but not from an investment perspective. The funds remain in the disbursement account.
So the money's not being invested waiting for the state money to come, it's just being held in a separate account labeled like extra sidewalk stuff.
Well,
The money is always being invested. However, the general fund will benefit from the money that we earn on those funds. It won't accrue to this special project. The funds
Yeah,
will
we
not
don't-
be segregated.
when we receive interest, we don't apply it back to each individual off-budget fund. It goes back as interest earned on the town's money. And
Correct.
you see that in a revenue projection, treasurer's revenue, that we incorporate in the budget for mill rate purposes.
Correct.
Yeah, I see where we're up to like almost 2.2 on some of that stuff that the treasurer reports.
Yeah. Yep, that's right.
Good.
So thank you for that. Like I said, that money's in place, which is good. So back to number 6, community challenge grant. So you have a memo in front of you, which is pretty explanatory. I have in front of me a nearly final draft for this. Let me go over a few things.
He's here.
Oh, there he is.
Hi, Ed.
And if you wanna,
You can come, so.
yeah, why don't you,
Okay, go
the
right.
small crowd, just come up here.
Okay.
Why
Good
not?
evening, everybody.
Yeah,
So Ed represents John Kadama and Beth and and probably 3 months ago, we grabbed Ed and John Kadama in this room. And we talked about the Community Challenge Grant Program This is the second round of the program. I believe there's $56 million available in this round. I don't know how much was available the first round. I didn't pay quite as much attention. But there is 28 million available to basically non-distressed communities. And we are one of the non-distressed communities. So the program is for public-private partnerships to transform an area in your town. We've looked at a few other projects in other towns. They vary from strip malls that got improved with housing above them, private ownership. The town put in maybe I don't know what the town put in a situation like that. Our total contribution to the whole project is only 7%. It's $500,000, which is a lot of money. I'm not saying it's not, but it's of 7 million, we hope. One good piece of news is they have not partially funded projects. It's as if they deny them or they approve them, which is good news. Just preliminarily, I will tell you that Jennifer Donahue, our economic development person, has put in a ton of hours on this so far. We've also engaged Jeff Jacobson to get a lot of our estimates and put together some pretty maps for the state to look at, a bigger map, including the causeway all the way to Gardner's Landing, a smaller map, Saybrook Point in to Gardner's Landing, and then basically this site. We showed conditions as they are, and we also showed images of what will be there when we're done. There's a couple other contractors we've engaged and to look at prices. So basically, the town is, I hope, going to pledge, and if we get the grant, appropriate $500,000. Will we need any of the match monies to accomplish what we plan on accomplishing? I don't know. I'm not certain yet, but I have quotes for a lot of the work that we intend to do. And some of that work is sidewalks. So if you go from mini golf and you start heading, I think it's north at that point, towards Gardner's Park. The sidewalk on the Dock and Dine property is a 6-foot wide sidewalk. That would be a permanent easement to the town. Estimate for that is about 60 grand. The idea though is to carry it into Gardner's Landing and make improvements in Gardner's Landing. I mean, so Gardner's, the dog park, as you colloquially referred to it last time, needs work in there. I mean, it's fine. It's a very small piece of land. But what we would like to do is, and we had a landscaper down there the other day. I met with someone who actually helped us with the Main Street Connections Park, Judy Jendrusik. And Judy said, if you did $27,000 worth of tree work and gravel paths and pollinator pathway is one of the things we're talking about, and a few other improvements, you know, it'd be about $25,000, $26,000 to make this look really nice. It's an open space park. We're not trying to make it anything it's not supposed to be. But the idea would be to continue the sidewalk from the Dock and Dine property all the way to a point, if you follow along the water, where right now, if you go there, I don't know how this happened, but it looks like they just dumped cement there. Looks like a cement truck ran out of cement and it was the end of the cement truck dump. That's what it looks like. But the idea there would be to have an overlook of some sort, maybe a fishing deck. We do plan to have fishing on that sidewalk in Gardner's Landing. Ray has talked about moving the fishing from where it is now between the Duffy Pavilion and the end of College Street to over on Gardner's Landing, because there's been incidents where people are casting into boats and stuff like that. On Steve, on Saybrook Point Inn's property. So the idea would be to, obviously fix it up in Gardner's Landing. That was an additional 27,000. Railings. So as you all know, we had a bad accident there years ago. And so the town had to put up some better barriers so that people don't drive with their mother-in-laws into the ocean, like this gentleman did. And so we had to price out railings. And that would be from, again, from the mini golf to the other side of where the current deck is. And from there, you have a cement wall that's about this high, but that's not high enough. So we had to quote out railings that were shorter than the other full length railings that are only this tall. The railings are, ready? About $170,000 for rail.
Couldn't you just extend the cement?
That's not, we're keeping the cement wall that is this high, but we don't want a cement wall this high.
Isn't it 42 inches of regulation?
They're not 42 inches.
36.
No, I understand it.
The
but
code
it's
is 42, right?
The code's 42, so if they're 30 high as an example.
Yeah,
Why not add a foot to
well, because we're trying to make it look pretty.
it? You can make it look pretty.
Cement,
It's, no, I don't mean raw cement, you can make it fancy.
Stamped.
so there's an option there, okay?
That would be a heck of a lot less than what you're talking about.
I agree with you, and there's also a way to lower the cost of the railings. The railings that were quoted out were with spindles and, so, right, there's a way to do it, what?
No, salt water and icebergs, you gotta think about.
So the way we've written the grant on the Dock and Dine property, it would be about 63,000 to do that. The cement wall goes from the other side of the deck into Gardner's Landing. Some of that could maybe be at a reduced cost, okay? But we do want it to look, all have a similar look. But then we priced it out. I'm just saying, we priced it out. What we do on our property, Gardner's Landing, but for grant purposes, if we get this grant, the way it's written right now is with the railings. Honestly, Brad, at this point, it's gonna be really hard to change it. We put in a ton of work into this, and I hate to take that away because you're gonna have railings on one side and then a cement wall on the other. At least for the Dock and Dine property, we probably go with railings, at least. Let me just stay with me for a little bit.
Let's get it first. then we can-
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Let's just get the property first.
We can talk about it.
Where's
Or the
the
ratings.
bullets on the presentation that we got?
So, lighting, we'd have lighting, now, not in Gardner's Landing, we wouldn't have lighting because it's a dawn to dusk park and rec. But there would be lighting for the sidewalks on the Dock and Dine property, estimate about 40,000. And then the deck, it would be a shared use deck between the Dock and Dine restaurant and the town. Right now, that deck is 48 by 48, it's huge. However, some of that 48 extends onto the pavement. So that would now be sidewalk and not deck. So the actual deck would be 48 by 38. Because that deck goes into so you'd lose 10 feet this way. So each side would probably have 24 by 20 approximately, which is a lot of space.
The other thing that we remember down there, that's the only spot the fire department's got to launch the Zodiac is in that area. Larry goes down there and clears it every year
Clears what though?
at the park,
It goes, so this is not that.
okay. You're not going down that far, is what you're saying.
No, this is just the deck I'm talking about right now.
Okay, I thought you were gonna continue the fence or the,
Yeah, but where do they launch it? They
right
must-
over the rocks. They go right over the rocks with the pickup truck and put it right in the river. It's the only place they got.
Right over the rocks. We're not going that far.
Okay,
You're going all the way into the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. So basically, between some lighting, a scenic overlook at Gardner's, sidewalks, railings, deck, disposal of materials, we have a number of about 400 to 400 and a quarter, and that would be the 500 that we're putting in. That does not include the seawall. Now, there's fixing the seawall. There's some problems with the seawall there. There's been one estimate on the seawall of about 50,000, Charles Brown. I had Shumack Construction, which is done, they did 5 out of the 6 seawalls after Storm Sandy. And they did the park across the street, and they just did the parking lot up on Ingham Hill Road. They're an excellent contractor. They were supposed to give me their quote today, but she said, it's, when we threw out a 500,000 number, that was the town's portion. She said to me today, she said, it's well under that. The guy from Connecticut Dock and Dredge is also going to quote it. We think that's going to be about 100,000. So what I'm suggesting here, and I will suggest to our partner, and we are partners in this, is whatever part of the match for this work that looks like it's going to be in the $500,000 to $600,000 range for everything. The town is putting in 500,000. We would be seeking, if we got 3.5 million, the town would be seeking part of that state match to complete the work that we need to complete. Now, it doesn't look like we're going to need $1 million total for our 500 plus another 500 to do the work that we need to do to make this site, our portion of this site, the way we want it. It doesn't look like we're going to need that. Originally, I was thinking it was $1 million worth of work, honestly. But it doesn't look like it is $1 million worth of work, which is good news. The applicant, not the applicant, our partners, The Point LLC, they have an investor letter for $3 million. Because I think I told a few of you here, the community challenge grant, a bank loan, getting Chelsea Groton or whatever to say, hey, he's good for 3 million wasn't good enough. You actually had to have an investor letter saying money's available for him to use. John sent a letter to me today that I received by email. I'm writing this letter to confirm that The Point LLC is property owner and my restaurant operation, JTK Management Restaurants, have agreed to partner with the town of Old Saybrook in pursuing the grant. If the grant is awarded, we look forward to constructing Dock and Dine, a year-round restaurant on the property. In addition, in a show of good faith, our partners have withdrawn their application for Smoke on the Water, which would have been a preliminary hearing last night.
Next week.
Oh, it was next week? Okay. So, as you know, that was going to be a lot of time in front of zoning. And I think no matter how that shook out before zoning, there was certainly the potential for an appeal. That is not off the table, by the way. It's off the table while we apply for this grant. But if we don't get the grant, it's not off the table. But we sat with the Point LLC and said, look, we're not partnering with you unless you're all in on this. And they agreed to that, which, given the fact that they've spent the last 2 years on that project, I feel is pretty solid on their part, and we were very happy with that. We have a press release, a joint press release ready to go. I think very importantly, our entire legislative delegation, Devin Carney, Paul Formica, and Norm Needleman have signed a joint letter supporting this project that we'll be submitting with the application. We have a letter from Brett Elliott at the Cape, another, a nonprofit, saying how important it would be to have that as another activity in town, another option for their patrons, another opportunity for people to come to the Point to see the Cape. We have a ringing endorsement from the Chamber of Commerce, Judy Sullivan over there, saying they are fully supportive of it and love the concept.
Anything from the Historical Society?
No. I haven't asked. You think I should?
Well, I mean, it is a historic point of land down there, and the fact that you're taking, Ed is aware of that, and that you're taking measures to whatever can be preserved and not disturbed with this new construction stuff going on there, such as where the Gardner's Landing is, or the dog park, because, and whereas Ricky is saying, they launched their boat and stuff down there, but so possibly the Historical Society can give a letter endorsing that also, you know?
I can contact Marie. We're
Yeah.
very short on time at this point. I did think of them, Tom. I could definitely
It was
reach
just an
out.
extra thought for
No,
you.
I could reach out to Marie. I have no problem with that. So, I have to say, and I said this to Ed today, and I've said it to him a few times over the last week. I'm super excited about this. This is, Dock and Dine, speaking of historic, has been there. There's been a dining establishment there for decades. There's been nothing there for 10 years. The property is not for sale. Mr. Kadama has paid 50, I think it's 50 grand a year. I don't know why that's in my head. Taxes on this, a dead piece of property for 10 years. If he wanted to sell it, it would be on the market by now. And I imagine if he wanted to sell it to a private investor, someone would have bought it. I've inquired on behalf of the town as to whether it would be available, and it's not. Now, if this all goes away and nothing happens with the property for another 5 years, maybe it is available, but for now it's not. And what this is, this unique grant opportunity is an opportunity for us to revive Saybrook Point and invest a lot of money and make not only this site better, flood compliant, make Gardner's Landing a nicer place. Let's face it, it needs a little bit of attention down there. Not a lot. It's a passive park. It needs a little. And do you want to, I don't know if there's anything you want to just comment on or not? I had you here for questions.
No, I've actually never been before this board before, so I've never been to a board of finance meeting, been here 19 years and been to a lot of boards and commissions. But I just want to say personally, thank you guys, because, the town of Old Saybrook is extraordinarily fiscally well run. And I know that's a lot of the hard work that you all do. Trust me, I know the mill rates in most of the towns around here. I know the amount of funding that we have at our disposal for different projects, so seriously, thank you all personally. From this project's perspective, yeah, I mean, look at John Kadama is very excited about this opportunity. He had funding options in the past post Sandy, and for one reason, I think he was at a closing table for a Sandy grant, getting close, and it went away. There was a legislative decision. We're not going to do this before the election, and went poof, gone. So, it's been something that has obviously there's been a lot of hard work to get different permits over the years to rebuild the year-round restaurant Dock and Dine. And that's what the goal is here, and being able to partner with the town on the table with the previous approvals was full public access along the water, so there's always been cooperation here. So this was an easy decision to work with the town and pursue this grant. So as Carl said, we're all in for this. Hopefully it's a good sell up in Hartford. And this can be done in pretty short order. So
the grant turnaround is December of 2022. So you find out pretty darn quickly whether you're a winner or not. The application itself asks for a summary of the overall project. That's question number one. A background history of the project site. What we've done here in the application, and I think Jennifer did a good job with it. In applying for the grant, she said there's 3 properties, not one. There's the mini golf property, this property, and Gardner's Landing. She's making it one big project and saying, this is why it needs to be done, instead of just saying, like I probably would have, dock and dine that property. So she's kind of included all the properties, and included also the property mentioning the property to the north. It asks for the development team, which would be Chris Costa, Jennifer, Jeff Jacobson, myself, Ed, John Kadama. The feasibility of the project. And in that, it asks for the market demand for the proposed use, the constructability of the project and the existing infrastructure. Interestingly, and the answer to that we have so far is ample anecdotal evidence exists that the project would be successful. It's been successful for 70 years, going back to the sandbar. In addition, when the restaurant reopened in August of 2012 after renovation, but prior to Sandy, so that was between Irene and Sandy, sales were 50 and 55% higher than the previous 10 years. So people were coming down. So an existing infrastructure includes a septic system, electric and gas connections, and infrastructure that will be approved, including seawall, waterfront dock, parking lot, and walkway. It asks for the project benefits. I won't go into all this, but it talks about summary of the economic and community development opportunity, municipal support. Board of Selectmen has already supported it. Contribution to the community's tax base, potential for job creation, housing creation, improvement in health and safety. Obviously, these are standard questions that might go to anything. So we're not going to hit everything. No project is going to. But we talk about how it's close to downtown, close to a train station, and possible 60 to 80 employees during the summer. It asks for a project cost and budget, and then schedule and timeline. So if we were to get the grant, the town would proceed with our improvements. We'd proceed with the seawall and the sidewalk and Gardner's Landing. We would proceed with that. And the lighting. John Kadama has a little bit of a taller task. And I don't know, we talked about that briefly today. Possible, obviously zoning, ZBA possibly. So it's not like it's happening tomorrow. And by the way, that may hurt us, obviously, at the state level. Knowing that there may be some land use boards, and I'm sure that may be a question that gets asked.
Can I jump in?
Yes, jump in. I wanted to.
This was previously approved in 2013, 2014 as a larger building, about 11,000 square foot footprint. Received all the approval, DBA zoning. It was down to the flood permit. As you may know, the building needs to be pretty high in the air because the elevation is so low down there. I think it's like elevation 4. So the building needs to be 13, 14 feet in the air. And so a lot of those approvals need to be redone because what's being contemplated here is a smaller building, outside decks up on the level. And there's expiration dates for many of the permits. So it's received approvals for arguably a bigger building, a more intensive use. So we don't anticipate a problem, but we have to go through the permitting section again.
What a question for Eddie. Eddie, this is gonna be year round that we're looking at, right? And this is much easier to have the residents in the area look upon it more of a favorable light than the other method, right?
That's what we think. There was fairly vocal opposition at the public hearings for the seasonal use, utilizing the temporary trailer structures. And, we all think that they would support, or maybe not support, but not be opposed to a restaurant, which is going to contain a lot of their objections, noise, trash, things like that.
We think.
Last time, if I remember correctly, there was a problem with the elevator egress.
Yeah, it was actually the stairs. And I wasn't involved back then, so I kind of have bits and pieces of the story. But the stairs needed to be FEMA compliant. And, you know, he kind of wanted a nice staircase, but you're limited with finishes because it's in the V zone. So you basically need plywood open. Or not plywood, pressure treated. But I think that has, you know, that can be overcome.
Yeah.
Is this, Gardner's Landing and any kind of seawall change we have, is that part of the 6 or 7 items that the Park and Rec just got passed for their future planning and stuff like that?
So, Park and Rec's vision down there was the town owning this property.
Yeah.
So,
And also now that if we need additional monies down there, and because it's gonna be probably under control of Park and Rec, then they can actually tap into their $2 surcharge, and use some of that money to help. the
possibly,
project.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not out of the question at all, yeah.
So this overall project is how much?
We have all in 7 million,
7 million. So, and John's putting up
3,
3.5,
no, 3,
3
half,
and 250, 2.5 goes to state.
3.5, 3.5, full match. So 3 plus 500, 3.5. I mean,
And then, did you get any idea what you think the assessment would be on that? At the end?
no, but good,
Well, I figured it out, if it's a $7 million project, it would be about 4.9 million assessment.
the building, I would think that I mean, you're looking at like 6 million to construct.
Yeah, so I mean, the overall facility, land, et cetera, could be 8 million. You take 70% of that, it's 5.6 million. At the mill rate, we're gonna bring back to the town about 112,000 in revenue.
I mean, you certainly gonna bring back more, you're gonna bring back money,
Yeah, so I
no
mean,
doubt.
the taxes alone could be back about 5 years, I think.
I mean, you could ever, in theory, you know, Brad, I wasn't looking at an ROI on this. But you're not wrong that the taxes will definitely increase on the property because it's just land right now. Add a building to it, you know,
Significant.
you know.
Question for Ed.
Yeah.
Do you have a presentation yet? You're gonna propose one or present it in the future so we can see renderings?
Yeah, we have a concept plan with about a 7,700 square foot building plus deck, including decks. In the same area where the former restaurant was. So that's what we're presenting as part of the grant. I don't have it with me tonight, but
That's okay.
yeah,
This
do this.
The only reason I was asking, I'm sorry, the only reason I was asking a question about the taxes, I think that would help. So, the tax,
Yeah, no,
It's a great point.
yeah, I have to look at that. If we get the grant and go to town meeting, that would be a selling point. There's no doubt.
There's no thought at this point, our all-in is the $500,000 tax abatements or anything like that.
We're not asking for them. If you can get the grant, that's a sufficient assistance.
It's a good amount of money.
Any concerns about septic down there?
No. No, I don't think so. We've been through septic reviews. Joe Renz has been our project architect with CRAD through the smoke on the water. There was plan to plumb some of that. It had septic approval back in 2013. And it's a big property. It's 2 acres. So there's room. You know, there's room and it's.
I'm just thinking setbacks with everything, with the quick waterways and everything else, that's all.
Yeah, no. Okay. Yeah, it's a large property.
So, when this is submitted, Friday, it may be submitted prior to Friday? What?
Anticipation.
Well, it has to be submitted by Friday. That's why. But if we can get it submitted prior to, we will. I'll share the application. I'm sure you'd all love to see it.
All right, so all you need now is a motion.
Well, yeah, I mean, that, well, we need a motion in a second, and then if there's any further discussion.
All right, I'll make a motion
I'll second it.
to support, you want me to read it or?
Yeah, read it.
To support the community challenge grant application with a commitment to fund 500,000 towards the grant match, and if said grant is successful, to access these funds from the capital non-recurring fund. Further is approved to move this approval to town meeting.
You have a second?
Second.
Anything, Aaron?
Will the work the town's gonna do happen regardless of what happens with the grant then?
No.
Or is it money tied to acceptance of the grant?
Tied to acceptance of the grant, because the project could completely pivot if the grant is not awarded.
What about matching funds to the town? So.
Yeah, there could be-
Similar to what they're getting.
Yeah, no, there,
I'm just curious if the 500,000 to do all this work, if that gets up to 800 or 900, when you start talking about seawalls, where does that additional money come?
I've talked to Ed about this, and that's why we have the quotes, and obviously, if the work needs to be done. You know, a lot of, all this work needs to be done for the town to satisfy its portion, so if it is in fact over and above 500 or 600, yeah, I mean, the town will be looking to access the matching funds to complete its portion of the project.
Can I ask a
Is there
question?
an agreement in place with about X amount? Like as part of the agreement with the town and John right now, is there an agreement to say the town's gonna put in 500? If the repairs and the work that the town's gonna complete go up, we will, or is it?
We can, I think I can send an email and Ed can confirm that. There's no,
It's a great project. I'm just,
no, I know that. There's no, it's a good
and
question.
thank you for coming, Ed, too, because I brought this up to Carl that, I mean, I personally had thought it was important for somebody from the group to come to this meeting if we're gonna partner with the town, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Question, I have another question.
Here's the liquor.
What is the name of the LLC?
The Point
That owns the
LLC,
property.
the Point LLC.
Point, the point LLC.
I just want to know that usually we give Carl a harder time. He brought too long, so. We'll be the answer. He's got bad.
Yeah, it's a first quarter finding. That's right.
Being easy on that.
That's right. Next one is gonna be tough. Okay, does anybody else have anything?
Look, I appreciate everybody listening and I hope. I'd love to get this property. And it's just an opportunity. It's an opportunity and
It's a good thing for the town.
but we have to get it. We may not get it. I mean.
Gotta try.
We are incredibly, like Jennifer, Chris Costa, I know Ed, but in town hall, we're like, just. We feel like we have a really good application. We put resources into it. Jennifer is an excellent writer. She thinks of so many other things. And she's just really put her head to the grindstone. This was a very short, this came together very quickly. Yeah.
I have nothing.
So that land's assessed for 1.355 million. So it brings the town right now about $26,700.
$26 or 27.
Tax.
Yeah, so that'll go up to, we'll get another 50 anyway. You gotta figure out the building.
If they're the right assessor.
But still, you're right, and that's a return.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an immediate return.
That's right. That'll be back to fight it anyway. Between like.
I've been to those meetings.
Yes, I know, yeah.
Carl, do you know what the highest amount in the first round that was awarded for a project was? I looked briefly and there's a $6 million in Norwalk for some mixed housing. But I was just curious, will this be on?
The state end was 6 million?
I'm not sure if that's the match.
Because
or
the
what.
state says it'll match $1 to $10 million. So, I know that the grants in the first round went to all the big cities. All of them, Stanford, New Haven, Bridgeport, New London. And I'd have to do some research on that. What's the
Like
large?
that $2.5 million to build a beer garden and a food truck lot.
What's that?
That's what,
Stanford.
that's what the Stanford money went. It's right here.
That's encouraging.
With an underutilized property on Pacific Street to create a year-round beer garden, food truck lot, German beer hall, coffee shop, and social co-working space, and a pilot brewery and tasting room.
So I'll throw in the co-working space we're in.
Conference room.
I was thinking,
I was thinking 3 low-income apartments on the top to get this right over the stakes.
yeah, it might be a state employee former, but you don't qualify.
Well, I wasn't thinking for me. Okay, anybody have anything else? Otherwise, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously.
So, Madam Clerk, you're free to go.
Okay.
No, not you, Jerry.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Dave.
Ed.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
If I could, get at least the minutes of the motion, because we want to submit it with the grant.
Okay.
Okay, so we may, I don't know that we need everything else. If you want to just, I don't know, we'll figure
The
it out.
motion that we just,
Yeah,
okay,
and maybe you even use that form and sign it, you know, this was approved, you know, whatever.
okay.
Okay.
Carl, not to go back to what we debated early in the meeting, but that letter from John,
Yeah,
can that be entered into the minutes?
yes,
Not the one that.
no, the letter, yeah,
The one that you just got.
Yeah, but not that investor one that we talked about.
Nope.
previously.
nope, here it is.
Can I do that actually?
Going in the minutes. There you go.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the selectmen report.
Just real quickly, so about, well, you know this, I was gonna report on that transfer station. When they were digging the water line to the Public Works garage. And they were digging, this is about, what, 2 months ago, Rick? They were digging, they started smelling gasoline or oil or. So they stopped, they called DEP, which is good, they did the right thing. And we had to hire a group out there to go look at it, and they got a letter today. They put monitoring wells in there and a bunch of stuff. And they sent a 120-page report, which I'm not putting in the minutes, but
Thank you.
I got a letter today, October 4th. Attached is the subsurface investigation report describing the results of the soil and groundwater sampling around the location where Public Works encountered the petroleum contamination. So we think this is from 20 years ago when they, Rick, what, you know, they're.
At the time that Ronnie was retiring and Larry was coming in, they took out the old gasoline tank. At the time they took the gasoline tank, in the records, it shows that they discovered free product in the bottom of the dig out area. And the company that was hired at the time made recommendations for remediation of the soil in the area. For whatever reason, that never got done. So when Larry was digging the water main in and he found it, he made the call. Our unit went down there and we recommended to the town on the course of action to take to protect not only the town's best interest, but also the Connect Water Company, because you're borderline. You're abutting the regional water authority area there.
Aquifer.
Yes, you're in an aquifer.
So they want, while soil and groundwater were determined to be impacted with gasoline compounds at concentrations above deep cleanup criteria, the results do not, underline, suggest a widespread release of gasoline from the former underground tanks that were removed in 2000, but rather a localized release that may have been associated with a leak from the former fuel pumps or buried piping between the dispenser and the tank. But it appears that removing a relatively small additional volume of soil may be enough to prevent any additional groundwater impacts, clean up the impacts, Following removal of those soils, the next step would be completing groundwater monitoring in that location to show that conditions are stable. The excavation work and possibly even the trucking can likely be performed by the town, so looks good. Trust me.
Could have been worse.
For a while there, I was like, a little concerned.
So they did do geoprobing.
They did,
All right.
whatever they did, I'm happy to send a report to you,
Yeah, if you could email, I'll make sure my guy gets what's assigned to that.
but, that's all I was gonna report on today. And Leanne, did you have anything that you wanted to?
No, not really. I think everything's good. Next meeting, we're going to have our monthly reports, and only just to say that the budget has been kicked off, and we're working on that. So everything's fine.
Thank you. Any liaison reports? No, okay. Any comments from board members?
I have a question.
Was that your reading?
Besides scratching my head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Bruce, do we know anything about whether the police commission is reaching out for RFPs, or if they've got anything going on yet or not?
I've not heard anything.
I know sometimes like Norwich, they did a survey where they mailed out the survey questionnaire to several sections of the Norwich community. And they were able to get some feedback in how the community felt about the safety and different things like that in the community. Not necessarily about any specific police officer, but about the community and everything. So that's relatively inexpensive, a survey versus, $50,000 for someone to come in and give you an idea about what the data means that you're collecting.
Travis, Town of Norwich. Town of Norwich.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Public comment,
No hands raised.
no hands raised.
Thank God we're leaving early.
Oh, no, I've got a long list of things.
Yeah.
There are no comments from the chair. I have a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Sorry.